Hi there everybody, it's Nick Shapley here at the Explaining History videocast, and the thing I want to talk to you about today is the question of bias in historical sources. This is one of the things that in this little videocast I'm kind of keen on pursuing, looking at things that are based around skills that we can use in lesson time and that kind of thing. Now, there's a huge problem out there with bias. And this is a thing that drives history teachers mad, but unfortunately it's history teachers that normally propagate this problem in itself. The way in which the issue of bias is dealt with in history textbooks goes kind of like this. Pupils are encouraged to look at a source, look at who wrote it, when it was written, where it might have been written, who it might have been written for, and finally question whether there are any biases in it. Well, the bad news is that there almost inevitably will be. Unless it's written by some kind of Google algorithm these days, it's going to have biases in. Why? Because it's being created by a human being. All human beings are biased. We all have our likes, our dislikes, our preferences. We all, basically, all of us have prejudices. Not a nice thing to admit, but it's basically true. Prejudices, the Latin prejudice, to prejudge. We prejudge everyone and everything all the time. It's an inherent part of the human experience. Doesn't mean to say we all have to go out there and be outrageous bigots. That's certainly not what we should be doing at all. However, we need to, when we're looking at sources, accept that each source we look at inherently has biases. And sometimes even the question of bias becomes a bit irrelevant. One history student I once taught, there was a source by Hitler from Mein Kampf, and he discounted it saying, well, it's biased, Hitler's not going to be telling us an objective truth here. Well, no, of course he's not. Hitler had biases like the rest of us, slightly more extreme in his case, a man of strident opinion, you could say. And but by understanding what those biases are, what it is, it's all pretty unpleasant, but what it is exactly, specifically, he's trying to say, that helps us to take the source and to use it to answer questions and to place it within a kind of a historical context. If you look at what it is he is saying in the source, and then perhaps look at the date, look at the likely audience, why the more interesting question is, why is Hitler saying this thing at this time? Whether or whether or not it is biased is kind of largely neither here nor there. It is inevitably going to be. Having an understanding of what those biases are, or what he is predisposed towards thinking, that helps us more, and simply the source helps to either confirm or perhaps even to question what it is he's thinking at that particular moment. So, in summary, this is just a short little video cast. Be very, very careful around the issue of bias. We all have them. And they are an inherent part of the human condition. And when you're thinking about bias, don't so much look at a source from the point of view of it being biased. Assume that it is, and then look at what the biases are, what's being said, what opinions are being articulated there, and how they fit in with the rest of the knowledge that you have to help create a detailed picture of the historical events that are actually happening. Thanks very much, and if you need any more help, you can get me at info@explaininghistory.com, or you can check out the podcast. You can access that through www.explaininghistory.com. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.